Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the KimUnity Soulutions podcast. It is so good to be with you all today. This is the only podcast that turns workplace challenges into real world solutions. I hope you have had a wonderful week. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that really gets on my last nerve. Have you ever met someone that is so gifted and so naturally talented, but only uses that energy for manipulation or to hurt people or sometimes even self-sabotage? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Wasted talent. Wasted talent. Now, this topic came to me because I was watching something on TV and there's somebody that I watch. There's part of a crew, right? I'm not going to say the name. It's not important, but it's part of a crew. And they're always speaking on topics that are current events, basically. But every time she speaks, it's always about someone else. It's always something negative. It's always something that she probably wouldn't want spoken about herself. Okay, and I'm just looking at this like, oh my gosh, you do such a great job. You do great research. You're reaching out to make sure you're having all the right information. But why is it always on something negative? What if that talent was used for something good? Right? Now, good is relative. I understand that. But just me on the outside looking in, I'm just thinking like, I really wish that you could use that energy in a more positive way. And there's nothing wrong with that. But again, this person is in this role, of course, because there is someone interested in what she's talking about. It's just not speaking to me, I'll say. It's just not speaking to me. So I'm not here to judge. I'm just out here observing and thinking like, wow, if only you use this for good. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. As always, I am your host, Kim the SME. I am only speaking from my experiences. I'm not sure if you've ever experienced that in the workplace, and there's so many different examples that I have written down that I have experienced. The first is the character that has all the charisma. They have all the jokes and they show up and they just have, the personality. They're charismatic. Everyone loves them. But when you work with them, and I just have one person in mind right now, you visualize it as you may. But this person, and you don't realize it until you get to know them, right? Because you fall into that same trap. But once you start working with them closely, then you start seeing how that charisma is usually covering up something. It's covering up that they lie or they're deceptive or they make something look good on this side, but on the back, it's something totally different. And I think to myself, like, if only people knew how you really were. Like, this is your personality, and what you're giving off is a total facade. But people don't know it until they spend more time with you, right? You don't notice it until you're working on a project together or something doesn't go their way or you get into a disagreement. Then you start seeing the unveiling of this character. And that's one thing that I just really can't stand. What are some personality types or something that you feel that is wasted talent? The second is the performer. There are performers out there in the workplace. It could even be children. I can see it being your children, but they're doing something above and beyond because they're trying to get someone's attention. If it's your child, they're trying to maybe win over a parent, or maybe, you're working too hard. So they're trying to spend more time with you and show you what they're doing. And so they're always getting into something. They're always trying to fix something or perform. We see this in the workplace where they just have to be the person seen, I would say, the one who gets everything done. But here's the downside of that. The downside of that, of being the performer, is that when they're not seen, there's strife. They're upset, or if someone else gets more attention, now there could be some kind of jealousy going on. Now, I was never the performer because I like to just sit back in the cut. I just like to sit back, get my work done. I'm the high and by, and hope you have a great day type of person. I'm not the one that always has to be seen. Most introverts, especially Capricorns, shout out to other Capricorns, but we don't have to do too much. Our energy attracts, so we don't really have to perform for anything. And what happens with the performer is they're so busy trying to attract that they burn themselves out. They burn themselves out. And so I would say to any performer that you really don't have to do that. You can complete the work or complete the task and show, but realize that you have a gift of what you do, that you have a talent. And even if you don't get the attention of someone else, know that you are valued. Know that you are valuable. Know that you have something to contribute. That what you're doing is not going to waste. But don't overexert yourself. Don't act like there's competition. Okay? So just wanted to get that out there. Now the next one, let's see what else I have. The next one is the visionary. So I was just at a networking event. I was actually at a conference. And when you're at a conference and you're meeting different people, they're always asking, what do you do? And I always say, well, what I've been saying recently is I help visionary leaders build cultures where people love to work. And I do that by being the bridge between leadership and their teams in order to improve communication, collaboration, and overall company culture. That's what I do. But as you could hear, I said visionary leaders. And what happens is with visionary leaders, they think far out. They think far out, and that's a beautiful thing. That's what vision allows you to do, to be able to think in the forefront. But what happens is most visionaries, they lose visibility right where they are. So I will call that farsighted. They can see far, but they can't see near. So they can be so focused on the optimal goal that they lose focus of what's actually going on. And they usually hire other people to look at that. But at some point you have to check in. And so with visionary leaders is sometimes visionary leaders or visionaries, they don't take action. Sometimes they can see so far ahead that they're not taking action in the now. And so someone can have all these great ideas. And it's like, wow, I would have never thought of that. I would have never thought of that. But if they don't have the right people in place or someone to take ownership of that task, it won't get done. So that is a talent to be able to see in the future, but you also have to take action in order for that vision to come alive. Have you ever met anyone that was ethical? That they were, I don't do this and I don't do that, but they never speak up or they never speak out. It's great that they have all these moral compasses, but they don't speak out. And these are just things that I've observed. They may go out, they may come to you in the workplace and complain about something or see something that wasn't right, but they may not speak up about it. They want you to come and speak up. And that irritates me because one person can't be the only person that's always speaking up. It's a collective. It's a unit. It's a group. It's a community. If you see something and it's in your heart to say something, let's not gossip about it. Let's speak up about it. Let's not be dependent on someone else to vent your grievances on. That's how you create change, not just by one person, because that one person ends up looking like just the complainer. But if everyone voices their opinion, and if that community, that environment welcomes that feedback, then is so much better. Not every environment is going to be welcoming, but you have to figure out what you're going to do. Either you're going to stay there or you're going to, voice it. I don't want to be in an environment where my what I say isn't valued or even listened to. So it's great to be ethical. It's great to have your own core values. But also, when you see something wrong, it doesn't have to be in the workplace, even out in public. I remember I was at a department store and I was standing in line, and the line was getting very long. And I was wondering why only like two people were working the cash registers. Why weren't these other lines open? This was several years ago, so there wasn't that much self-serve then. But I'm in this line and I'm wondering that all of a sudden this gentleman comes up and he opens up. He sees the long line. He opens up his cash register and he was like, I can help you. Come on up. And so he wasn't speaking to me. I was like a few people back. And his manager turned around and said, who told you to do that? And was just totally going off on this gentleman, totally disrespecting him. And I'm thinking like, wow, did that call for that? Are you even going to acknowledge that he was being proactive and trying to, help curb this long wait time? He's providing excellent customer service. He's acknowledging the people that's waiting in this line. And so I did. By the time after all this happened, I waited until I got in line and I spoke. I said, excuse me, may I speak to you for a second? And I had to let her know, like, I appreciated him coming in and volunteering. I don't know what his role was or what you'd rather have him do, but, speaking to him like that wasn't called for, and I just had to let her know that. And it wasn't in a rude way. It was just an observation. And I could tell that she was tired and maybe she was going through something on the other side of that, not even within the workplace, maybe something outside of it. But how are you treating the people that you're around? And what does that make you look like? And so as I was leaving, I could see that she was apologizing to him and everything. And so I was glad that I was able to, you know, not make that happen, but to encourage it, to open up that conversation, to let her know that, okay, you are seen and you are heard, and that was disrespectful. You wouldn't have wanted that done to you. So if it's important to speak up about some things. Why do you think that you were positioned to be there? And I'm saying, I spoke directly to her. So there's that. Then here's the survivor. There's someone out there, someone you may know, maybe you that's been through so much. You have survived so much. And because of that, you have learned some survival tactics. And when you're around people, it shows. It shows that maybe you eat like this. You have your arms up because you don't want anyone in your space, or you don't want anyone to take your food, or every time you leave your room or your office door at work, you're locking it, right? You're very controlled of your space. You've been through something, so you're trying to make sure it doesn't happen again. You're a survivor, but you're bringing on these tactics and you're unhappy while you're doing it. It's time to let go of that. I don't know what you're going through. I'm just speaking from my experience of what I've seen. And I'm not telling you to let go of it. I don't know what you've been through. But it's definitely something for you to look into. Why are you doing that? Think about your actions, your activities. Maybe you don't like to share. You're creative. You can make shortcuts out of anything, but it's out of desperation. It's because you don't want to have to go through it again. It's because you're afraid of lack, or you're doing it out of fear. That's what it is. You're doing it out of fear. And it's like, you are so talented, but your energy, we can see that it's out of fear. So some things we need to learn to to release. There's another personality, and I don't even know if I'm like on 6 or 7 right now, but there's another personality that is a strategist, right? But they're messy. They can organize things. They plot out, right? But the problem is that they'll set you up. They have all these different strategies. They'll come over and tell you something and come over and tell someone else something else. And then they sit back and watch everything unfold. You are a master strategist. Why are you using it for evil? Why are you using it to manipulate? Why are you using it with negative energy? There is so much out here that you could be organizing and strategizing. We see it all the time. We see it in the news. We see it, in our community. We see it with politicians. We see it with organizers. We see it in the workplace. You're good in it. People trust you. You're able to have conversations and give direction to everyone. But where are you leading them? What impact are you having? What are you going to be remembered by? How about if you change that and use it for good? How about you use it and allow it to benefit someone else and not just you all the time? When is the last time you used that talent, that gift for someone else? You may know all these laws, but you use them to skirt around for your own benefit. What about if you use it to apply to help a family in need? Wasted talent. That is what we're talking about today. Wasted talent. We all have some kind of gift. Imagine if we all used it for the betterment of someone else and not just ourselves. Then there's the empath. And you may see yourself in some of these, and there's no judgment. I just wanted to bring to your attention. I'm an empath. And sometimes we can care or get involved or emotionally attached with someone else's story or what they're going through that we forget about ourselves. We forget about ourselves, just like today. Today, I planned on going to help volunteer and do something, right? I did it last week and I was trying to do it again this week. But my day didn't permit. I ended up working on something that took longer than expected, right? And so I was exhausted and I knew I had to get this episode out. But I was telling myself, okay, Kim, you can go ahead and make it. You can go ahead and make it. But if I did that, then I'd be pushing everything else back. And so I had to tell myself, Kim, you can't do it this time. You can't do it. Next week, plan better. You shouldn't have to, this other task shouldn't take you so long next week. And that way you can go ahead and fit that task in there. But I wanted to be able to help other people. That is what was on my agenda, and that's what I wanted to do today. But sometimes you just have to say, not today. I can't do it today. My time will not allow. I need to have energy for the rest of the week, because sometimes when you start adding so much to your schedule, it start messing up your energy for the entire week. Now you're drained. That's why Sundays, I really try not to do too much of anything, so I can start off the week refreshed. I know Sunday's the beginning of the week, but that's what I'm saying. So Monday, I'm refreshed. I'm not starting out on Monday exhausted. That weighs on me. And that energy, I'm sure, is felt throughout the house, because now I'm tired, or now I need a massage. Now I have a headache, and it just carries on. So sometimes we have to say no. Sometimes we have to say, not this time. Sometimes we have to say, next week I'll do it. And that is okay. Otherwise, you are hurting yourself. You are burdening yourself. Did you know that when you can't do something, there's someone out there that will step in on your behalf? Did you know that, God can align it to where someone will decide to go in and help on your behalf, not even knowing you, not even knowing your situation, but they'll just step in. They'll lend a helping hand. So, what you're about to do was not just not empty, not void. It was still fulfilled. It just wasn't by you. And so that's how we have to see things. I hope you all are really listening to this and understanding and applying it. If you see any part of yourself in any of these characters, just do a self-check. Like, oh, okay, I do have a sarcastic mouth. Okay, I do, only do what benefits myself. This week I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to help someone else. It's the little things. Yes, I have a great personality and I do all this, but let me not do it in a conniving way. Let me not be undermining with it. It all comes back to self-awareness, and we all have to acknowledge that. I have one more. Well, that it kind of ties into the other. The conversationalist. So the person who loves to talk, a great communicator. But what is coming out of your mouth? Are you negative Nancy? Are you the gossiper? You love to talk, but what are you talking about? Every time you get on the phone, you're talking about someone else. Yes, you have the gift of gab, but what are you gabbing about? These are all talents that can be seen as being wasted because they are gifts, but they're not being used for good. Now, I'm not judging, I'm observing. And all I want to do is bring it to your attention. Just to present it like, hey, here's the plate. What are you doing? And at some point, especially when I was mentioning the person I was watching on TV and how what they do is great, but it's always about people. It's always about someone's drama or their personal lives. Without judging, I can say, okay, one day she'll realize what she's doing. Maybe what she's doing now is building her skills so that it can be applied for good later. And that's what I'm hoping for. And I'm sure there are people out there who are listening to my voice right now saying, hey, all you do is talk about workplace challenges. But what I do is talk about the challenges and how we can resolve them, and how by resolving them, it can positively impact our communities, our homes, our social lives, globally, our world. Let's be the solution. Let's be the change we want to be. It's all about using your gift and your talent for the good of others. There's a whole lot of talkers out there, but we need someone who's actually experiencing and observing and can bring it to everyone's attention. Like, oh, this is me. She's talking about me. I can work on this. Oh, I didn't know it impacted, had a negative impact. Let me change this around for good. Or I can see how it's negative, but it's really not. I'm trying to help. And so it's just bringing about self-awareness. If everyone just evaluated themselves, took a look at their triggers, took a look at their actions, took a look at their impact, took a look at their energy, took a look at their surroundings and their social life and how they're treating others, we would all be in a better place. Be the change. That's what this podcast is all about. It's not just about what I'm saying. I would like for you to respond as well. It's about unifying solutions. It's about me sharing my perspective, you sharing your perspective, and we all coming together and finding that common ground. So I hope you have enjoyed this episode on wasted talent. I hope that you find something in yourself that you can work on. or see what someone else could work on, not judge, but maybe point them in the right direction. Maybe give them that, acknowledge their talent. Say, you are so good at this. You are a great artist. You are a great artist. But what about if you did this? You are a great orator. You are a great conversationalist. These are the things, or just, and I'm not saying go out and say that at all, but you could ask them about a whole other topic. Well, what do you think about this? What do you think about the sunflower? What do you think about earthquakes over the floods? I don't know. But bring them over to the positive side. Let them know that when they come to you, they need to come correct. They need to come with some kind of positive energy. And maybe that will reflect in other interactions that they have with other people. That's all I have for you today. I am your host, Kim the SME. As always, I am only speaking from my experiences. I hope that you share this message with someone who you think could benefit from it. Share it with a coworker, because we all know someone who has one of these types of characteristics. I hope you have a blessed and wonderful week. Bye-bye.